Welcome to the Double Dribble podcast with Dubin and Dakhil. That's Jared Dubin, author of Last Night in Basketball. Make sure you're subscribing to one of the best newsletters out there. Not just in basketball. I'm going to say it, Jared. One of the best newsletters out there in the world, okay? Like plain and simple. So make sure you're subscribed to that. You're going to get some great stuff in your inbox. He's always going to hit you with great knowledge and facts that you're going to be able to take away and be smarter, or do a podcast with him and try to steal those points before he makes them. I'm Mo Dakhil, former NBA video coordinator, write for Bleacher Report on occasion, do videos on Offside. Make sure you download the app Offside. We got a lot of great stuff coming there. Occasional contributor on NBA TV. I am doing my last pregame show on X Live with Zach Harper and Alexis Morgan. This is going to be the last one of us for the season. So make sure you guys are checking it out. That will be 2 hours before game time today. We're recording on Wednesday morning. And Jared, something's different. You don't have your hat on. You don't even have a Knicks t-shirt on. Something has changed.
Yeah, for the first time in 46 days, the Knicks lost the basketball game. So they do not get the honor of me wearing the hat today. That's just the way it is.
Did you wear the hat 46 straight days, or was it just game days?
Oh, I mean, I wore it for all the podcasts. And when I didn't shave my head, I would wear it like when I went outside. But
okay,
other than that, it's not like I was constantly wearing it all day, every day.
I was more just going to be like, yeah, the hat might smell and need a wash after 46 days was all I was thinking.
Oh, no. It's a perfectly clean hat.
So we've just, as you know by now, and if you don't, that's really weird, the Knicks lost game 3. I just want to do this from the rip because I hate it. The whole narrative for the past day and a half has been the officials ripped this game away from the Knicks, and it's the officiating, and Wemby should have been called for a flagrant foul on his shove of Brunson. First off, I don't think that's a flagrant foul. Should have been a foul. Should have been a whistle. Should have been a foul, a turnover. Foul on Wemby. Should have been the Knicks ball going the other way. Don't have an argument. I don't think there's an argument there, but I don't think it ever should have been considered a flagrant foul. I thought that was kind of absurd, especially with some of the stuff we've seen throughout this whole series on both ends, both sides, by the way. So I think, for me, this whole thing of the officiating is the problem. I honestly officials can affect pretty much every game in every sport with how they officiate the game. And honestly, I'll tell you this, watching it live at the arena and obviously not having the broadcast and replays and stuff, I didn't feel like it was a greatly officiated game. I didn't feel like, wow, like the Knicks are getting dicked around on these calls.
The amount of ref whining going on online and in my group texts is astronomical. I will say the same thing that I've said about ref whining in every other circumstance. It is a scourge. It is the thing I hate most about the league at this point, because anytime any team loses a game, all the fans or anybody can talk about is the refs, and it's ridiculous. It's loser behavior. Like, let's say we stipulate that the Knicks are getting the bad end of the calls. I think they certainly did in game 2, and they possibly did in game 3, including with the obvious missed foul on Wemby, and maybe another one in the corner on Josh Hart when he had the same sort of landing area foul that Brunson had on Champagnie. The Brunson one got upgraded to a flagrant. Didn't really think that was a flagrant. The one on Wemby was a foul. Not sure if it was a flagrant, but if they called the Brunson one a flagrant, you could say it was. Neither one of them got called. But let's stipulate that they're getting the bad end of the calls for the last 2 games. Tough shit. Like, go win the game anyway. Sometimes you're going to get the bad end of the calls. That's just what happens. The refs, to me, are an act of God. You will get some calls you shouldn't. There will be some calls that go against you that shouldn't. In the end, it is generally going to even out. And even if it doesn't, you got to go win the game anyway. That's the way it works. So to me, like, complaining about the refs post-game, during the game, whatever it is, I have no time for it. I don't want to hear it. And that's just the way I view it about the refs in general.
I want to credit the Knicks players after the game because they weren't talking about the refs. They literally were on. Mike Brown, this is what coaches do anyways. We've seen this as far back as Pat Riley, right? Like trying to get the calls for the next game, trying to set the table for the next game. Like we've seen all I'll say about Mike Brown, don't come out there and say like, I don't complain about refs and then proceed to complain about refs. Just complain about the refs. Like, just do it. Don't give me this whole spiel. Like, I don't ever complain about the refs. I don't about the refs. I don't ever do that. But we shot, it was like, what was it? 24-4 in the free throw department or 22-4? I forget.
24-8 in the second half.
24-8 in the second half. Okay. Let me explain something for Knicks fans so that they kind of can understand this here a little bit. When you legitimately get in the penalty with 8 minutes left to go in any quarter,
especially in both quarters,
the other team is going to shoot a high amount of free throws. Full stop. Like there's no arguing there. And by the way, the 5 fouls that led to them getting into the penalty, all were fouls. I didn't feel like there were calls I felt that were missed that like, okay, this could have been a foul called on the other. I think not the first De'Aaron Fox block on Cat, but the second one along the baseline.
Yeah.
Like two happened like relatively quick. There could have been a foul either on Wemby or Fox on that maybe. Like, but whatever, it didn't get called. Okay, cool. Like we can talk about it the whole way. Jordan Clarkson went out of his way to run over Luke Cornett on a play. No whistle, no nothing, nobody screaming. That should be reviewed and upgraded to a flagrant. Like I'm just saying, like the level of all this stuff. I agree with you on the Brunson. That shouldn't have been. I don't like that being a flagrant. I will just say that is how that rule is adjudicated throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
Like we've
generally
seen
you have to like be in the landing area of the plant foot. And I thought he got the other foot. And like, I don't know. I didn't like that it's a flagrant, but generally that's how they call it. You can make the argument that the Wemby one should have been called also a flagrant as well. It was basically the same play. And there was no foul on the Wemby one at all, which again, sometimes calls just get missed. There was a pretty egregious foul on OG that was missed on a Castle, what could have been an N1 in the first half.
Yeah, but it's like, this is sports, folks. Like this is what happens in sports. Like I'm sorry, like this is it. And so when you foul like that to start the quarters, the other team's going to go to the free throw line on everything. Loose ball fouls. Wemby in the fourth quarter got 4 free throws off of a Karl-Anthony Towns holding him on a rebound that had to be challenged and reviewed. And then it was
and that was clearly legit, like clearly grabbing his arm and dragging him down.
Mikal Bridges, same thing. I laughed my ass off when the foul was called and the fans were booing. Wemby's reaction was pointing to look at the replay. Like he clearly held my arm down. Like it was hilarious. But it's like there's that. Dylan Harper had a foul that was called on the ground. I actually thought should have been an and one. I was a little bit confused, but they called it on the ground. He got 2 free. That's 6 free throws right there. Like it doesn't take much when you get in the bonus. The other team is the penalty, excuse me. The other team is going to get a lot of opportunities at the line if you're not careful. And that's just how it happens. Like I'm so kind of fucking tired of officiating. We had this in the OKC and we had to sort of litigate that. We had to litigate like every series, every game. We have to litigate the referees. At a certain point, like you said, just go fucking ball. That's not why you lost the game. You didn't lose the game because the officials. You didn't lose the game because they didn't call that foul on Wemby, right? You lost the game for a lot of other reasons, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I just think, and I'm pissed off at the media. I'm pissed off at the normally good Knicks accounts that give you sort of the give you good stuff. All they've done for 2 days is whine about this not being a flagrant foul. Not even that it wasn't called. They're not even mad that it wasn't called. They're mad it's not because they're just simply trying to get Wemby suspended And
Well, he
do
wouldn't
that.
have gotten. He wouldn't have gotten suspended. He would only have 3 flagrant foul points, not 4, which you need to get suspended.
Right, but everybody is saying if you called that one and then called the Josh Hart one, then he gets suspended because he'd had 4. Like my whole thing is like,
well, that was never going to be a thing. Yeah, like,
but if that's what you're trying to do,
I will say on the Wemby stuff, he didn't get fined for the flagrant 2 on Nas
that
Reed.
was bullshit. That was
bullshit, and he didn't get either one of these upgraded. There is a pattern developing here of like, okay, he can get away with some stuff.
Did you think the Brunson one was a flagrant?
I don't know. I think you could call it a flagrant. Like he does, like grab him around the head and shove him down, but it's a shove. It's not a punch. Like it's a clear foul. Like I think if they had called it during the game, they probably would have upgraded it to a flagrant because he like takes him by the head and shoves him down. But I don't know that they're going to upgrade it. Like Monty McCutcheon was on TV talking about how they generally defer to the ruling on the court and it has to be like clear and conclusive evidence or whatever. I think it might be there, but to go so ape shit about it, like it's not why they lost. Like, let's talk about the real stuff that happened in the game. Like the real stuff that happened in the game is the real stuff that happened in the game. Like sometimes you're not going to get the good end of the whistle. That's just the way it is.
Okay. I disagree with you on that being whether that should be a flagrant or not. That's all. I disagree with you. The fine, complete bullshit. He should have been fined a shit ton of money.
To not get fined on a flagrant 2 is ridiculous. Like to not get fined on a flagrant 1 is one thing. To not get fined on a flagrant 2 is completely ridiculous.
Hear everybody on that one. He should have definitely been fined for that. I'm with you with all of that. Okay, so let's now just put the referee stuff in a box. We're not going to talk about that anymore about game 3 because we
talked about it for about 12 minutes into recording this podcast. So we've talked about it for about 11 and a half more minutes than I would have liked to talk about it.
Yeah, so it's in a box. I just wanted to get it out of the way because you know how I get when I'm agitated. Boom, in a box, we're out.
And you know how I get about this specific kind of conversation, which is just like, leave me alone.
Yeah. You just want to be left the fuck alone. All right. Where do you want to take this for game 3 in terms of what you saw, what happened, all that fun stuff?
I want to start with the Knicks defense because after games 1 and 2, I held up my mug with the No Easy Buckets Knicks logo on it. And I said that was why they were winning the first 2 games of the series. And I thought that this was a defensive loss for the Knicks. Everybody is talking about their offense and how much, and we'll talk about the offense because I do think there were some issues with it, but everybody is talking about the offense. And to me, it was more of a defensive loss. The Spurs had a 119.2 offensive rating in game 3 after posting a 101 through the first 2 games of the series. They got way more easy baskets right from the start of the game. Wemby had 4 baskets in the paint in the first 5 minutes. Steph Castle had 3 baskets in the paint in the first 5 minutes. It was just, they were getting into the paint all game long. And to me, that was the story of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it was from the get-go, they made a point of we're getting Wemby in the paint, right? Like they played. It was funny. After game 1, Mitch Johnson had said, we got to play more inside out. And they really did play more inside out in their process. And it started out with we're getting a lot more Wemby in the paint. They even got stuff off of 54. One of the first things early on, they were on a 54 action. Castle, they don't even bother waiting for Wemby anymore. They just Castle just sprints down, gets in the paint, kicks it out to Fox. Fox drives, gets in the paint, and then that has the defense in rotation. It's a lob dunk for Wemby because Cat's in a 2-on-1. They consistently attacked and opened things up for them offensively when they had the moment. And I think that's that's what led to it. And then it was
they also real quickly, they also finally got a roll and seal against the low man on one of those actions where he sealed OG in the middle of the paint and got a dunk over him.
OG didn't pull over enough early enough, and then he got sealed on that. And then the funniest one, which was early in the game too, they have Castle literally trapped near half court off of also a pretty poorly run 54. but they have him trapped at half court, and he literally just throws the pass like 15 feet high pass to Wemby, and it's just like, I'm just gonna throw it up. Wemby's gonna catch it. Like,
There was another one of those later in the game where for some reason they switched Bridges onto Wemby on the ball screen. I think it was a Fox Wemby ball screen. It might have been the 2-minute sequence when the Knicks didn't have a big man on the court because we'll talk more about Mitchell Robinson, who was not very good in his 7 minutes where they were minus 13, I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, 7 minutes minus 13. No offensive rebounds, but they played very briefly with the OG at center look, and they switched a Fox Wemby ball screen, and they just threw the ball like 12 feet in the air when Bridges got switched onto Wemby.
Yeah, and I think the it's just like, obviously it's just throw it to the 10-foot dude.
Yeah,
just throw it near the rim. He'll find a way to get it. But I think like the Spurs' focus offensively was more zeroed in on let's get paint touches and for Wemby more, and then it slowly worked its way outside, right? Like it kind of went back and forth. There's a the other thing I thought from the Knicks defense, which I hadn't seen a lot in games 1 and 2, they bid on a lot more pump fakes in transition. Wemby gets one on the wing, gets Shamit with a pump fake, and that opens up the Euro step around OG, which again, absurd that 7'5" is doing, like smoothly going into a Euro step, right into the a layup. And it's like all of those things, they were getting a lot of that stuff. And then he's spraying it out. The one where Champagny got fouled, it's a kick out from Wemby when he goes one-on-one on Towns, gets to the block. The defense rotates it and shifts because Castle cuts, opens up the kick out to Champagny, who knocks down the three. Like, I think there was a lot of their process was much better. And I feel like the Knicks defensively were reaching a little bit more than they were used to. And I found that to be kind of the big moment in the big part of this game. That's like almost, well, it's all under discussed because we're only talking about one thing, but like, that's something that's not focused on. Cause you're right. Everybody is talking about the Knicks offense. Their defense was not very good.
No. And I think, honestly, a big part of it was that Bridges picked up 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the game, and their point of attack defense completely broke down. Like, they were letting guys get into the paint all night. Wemby was rolling into the paint all night. Like, Bridges has been their best point of attack defender throughout the playoffs. I thought Shamit got bullied through a little bit, particularly by Castle. He had done a really good job in the first 2 games in that matchup. I didn't think he did a particularly good job in game 3. I don't know why early in the game they switched the matchups from what they had in games 1 and 2. OG had been guarding Fox and Bridges had been guarding Vassell. And they switched it to Bridges on Fox, and he picked up those 2 fouls right away. And I thought the fouls threw off their point of attack defense, and it threw off their rotations for the entire night. I don't think they got to the Brunson, Shamit, Bridges, OG, Towns lineup for a single second in the game.
No, they didn't run it at all.
No, and Bridges himself was thrown off for the rest of the game too. He doesn't come back into the game for another 12 minutes, and he never got into an offensive rhythm either. And we'll talk about the Knicks offense, but I thought that his rhythm was thrown off on both ends of the court. The lineups were thrown off, and the point of attack defense specifically was thrown off, and that killed them all night.
Yeah, I didn't understand that when I remember thinking about it just in the moment. Like, that doesn't make sense to me with the way, because Fox had a good game. Like, Fox was really solid, except that turnover he had late in the game where
when he just fell down going against OG.
Yeah, that was brutal. But he
didn't shoot well, but he played well. Like,
he played well.
The former Knicks coach used to always talk about how you don't have to shoot well to play well, and I thought Fox didn't shoot well but played well.
But when he hit shots too, they were timely ones. The jumper along the baseline,
biggest shot of the game, or maybe the second biggest shot of the game. The Castle 3 to put them back.
Castle 3 was the one that was huge. With that, I think the other thing too for me with the Knicks, defensively was just, and like you said, it was all discombobulated because the early foul trouble of Bridges. But they never set the battle lines. Like, they let the Spurs set where they wanted to go. Like, they never really rerouted people. They never really, I almost think they got lost a little bit in the physicality of the game too. right? Like, um, can you explain to me what Josh Hart was doing when he ran into Cornette?
He was trying to get not get the rebound, but how you delay the ball from getting to the inbounder sometimes.
So he was trying to
do that, and he got run into by Cornette from behind because Hart was doing something that you're not really supposed to do. And I think he thought that Cornette crashed into him instead of just being in that spot. And then he kicks Cornette and then shoves Cornette. That's a clear technical. People were complaining about too. That's a clear technical foul when you kick a guy from the ground and then get up and shove him. He thought that Cornette ran into him on purpose, but he didn't.
Yeah, it was just funny to me watching that. But I'm just you scored the layup, man. Just go back on defense. I was like, what are we why are you trying to?
Yeah, he was doing the thing where you try to not let the other team inbound the ball right away, where you touch the ball, but you're not supposed to. And usually they'll call a delay game, but if it comes directly to you from under the rim, you can do it, and they won't call a delay game. He was doing that thing, and he got bumped into from behind because Cornette was trying to get the ball.
The funnier thing was because it wasn't from behind. He came, if you watch it, he scores the layup and is off to the side and comes running along the baseline while Cornette's running straight and Cornette, you can just see it on the replay, just looking up and not even paying attention, and has his hands to get the ball to inbound it quickly. It was just funny to me. But there's a level of I felt like they got a little bit, and I want to be clear about this too. It was a weird environment. We know why. I don't want to talk about that part, but it threw everybody off. And for people to just so people understand too, players are so ritualistic, especially when you're at home. It's more bigger for home teams than road teams. Road teams have to deal with random things or whatever, random delays or things it felt like it really kind of threw the Knicks off more than the Spurs. And I think part of it too was that it was a weird game and the atmosphere was weird. It was weird, dude. I don't have much else and then their performance defensively was very kind of, it was just a different defense than what we had seen in the previous two games. The way the smart way they went about things in those first two games, we just didn't see it in game 3.
No, we had seen them be a step ahead of the Spurs ball movement basically for 3 halves of basketball. In the first half of game 1, they were getting killed by Champagnie on threes, and because they were aggressively helping off of him for some reason, and he just nailed 5 threes in the first half. But for the other 3 halves in games 1 and 2, they were a step ahead of the Spurs ball movement, and we didn't see that really at all, except for a piece of the second quarter which they won 42-24. But that was, I thought, more about their offense than their defense. And we could talk more about the offense after we take our break, but I don't think that we saw the defense nearly as locked in as we had seen it for the first 2 games of the series. And to me, that was a much bigger story than what was going on with the Knicks offense.
Well, let's just do this real. Do you have any other points you want to touch on the defense before we move on?
No, I think we talked about the point of attack. We talked about Bridges getting the fouls early. We talked about the switch matchups. I didn't think that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I did think the Spurs did a good job again mixing up 54 and double drags. They did a lot more double drags. They got a lot of that, and they went at Brunson way more than they had for most of this series. They really did make a point of and it wasn't just directly, but putting him in positions where he's the low man on the rotation to win. 6'2" versus supposedly 6'2", by the way, versus, supposedly 7'4". It just wasn't really a much of a contest in those instances. And I felt like the Spurs did a good job of putting him in those positions of okay, we're either going to put you directly on the ball and you have to deal with it, or you're going to be the help guy, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about what the Knicks didn't do on offense. And we are back, folks, on the Double Dribble. Jared, we talked about the Knicks defense. The Knicks offense wasn't much better.
No, I mean, I thought that the Knicks offensive process wasn't much better, but they actually scored more efficiently in this game than they did in the first two games. They had 115 offensive rating. Like, the disparity between the process they went through and the results they got, I think, is really interesting. A lot of that is just because OG went on an absolute heater. He was 9 of 13 for 28 points. He was making everything. I had in my newsletter that yesterday that he made 8 shots off one or more dribbles, which was is most of the season and only the 7th time in his career that he's made at least 8 shots off of one or more dribbles, which is pretty ridiculous. Like, Jordan Clarkson hit a couple grenades at the end of the shot clock. Like, they got some ridiculous, and then they had the 2 ridiculous threes at the end of the game from Brunson and OG that sort of kept them in shouting distance, but they never actually got a chance with the ball to tie or take the lead. So they got some shots, and they also scored. I was looking at it on Hoops Junkie, which is a new site from the guy who made the Chrome extension for like the advanced stats. He's got his own site now. I can't remember. I think it's Glenn McComb is his name. But the Knicks got 24 points on late shot clock plays in this game, which is a lot. But they had 30 plays late in the shot clock, which tells you how bad the process was, that they were working up against the clock that often. The Spurs only had 17 plays late in the shot clock.
Yeah, it was pretty, for me, the thing that bothered me the most was they became very much, and Mike Brown said it, like, it was very much dribble out the air out of the ball.
Yep.
And then it was a very different offense than what we've seen in the first 2 games. It was very Spursian, right? And like, bing,
we
bing,
all
bing,
saw
bing,
that sequence in game 2 that everybody was like, oh yeah.
And we'll talk about it because they had that opportunity again, but I'll talk about that in a second. But like, it was, and in this one was so slow, so, and like, I've seen people come at me going like, it was everybody. It wasn't just Jalen Brunson. No, it was Jalen Brunson.
I think it was connected to Bridges going out. He's the guy that moves off the ball more often than everybody else on the team. And not having him out there to sort of move the defense around, I thought was connected to their general lack of ball movement throughout the game. But a lot of it was just Brunson pounding the ball. And you got to get, like we always talk about, every time this happens, you got to get Towns more involved. Some of that's on the coach. Some of that's on Brunson. Some of that's on Towns himself, not asserting himself enough to get involved in the offense. Like, you got to do that too. It's not just on the coach and the point guard to get you the ball. But this was a whole lot of ISO Jalen, and let's see what Jalen can do against the defender who was picking him up 55 feet from the rim on average, with Stephon Castle. And some plays was pressuring him like 80, 90 feet from the rim, all the way bringing up the ball up the court.
And the other thing too, and this was early, they were throwing the ball everywhere. It was the turnovers.
Not just early.
All game.
The first 2 plays of the first half and the first 2 plays of the second half, they just threw the ball like out of bounds.
I mean, like, and it was like airmail. Was it Bridges who threw it to OG over, or the other way around? But somebody threw the ball over the other one's head, like that airmailed it. Like, we had
Brunson had a couple passes both to OG that he just threw out of bounds.
They were just bad. Like, it was. They came out again. This is why I said, like, the environment was a bit weird. They came out with not the urgency of like, yo, let's go up 3-0 in the finals. The way they started this game was not like that urgent in that sense. And they brought it later, but like, it was a weird sort of start just off that with the turnovers. And then I feel like from there, I think that's where Bridges fouling out, or excuse me, getting those 2 fouls early definitely screwed up. But I don't think that's enough of a reason for me, because they still were doing all that stuff when Bridges is on the bench, right? They get that from Shamet. They get that from other guys. It wasn't a great McBride game. They didn't get, I have to look up the numbers, but it didn't feel like they got as many corner threes. And if OG doesn't go, did he start out like 7 of 8?
He went 9 for 13 for the game. So
but he started out like ridiculous, like 1 point, like
the
ridiculously
Knicks were
high.
5 for 17 on corner threes. So they got a bunch of them, but didn't shoot well.
Didn't make them. Okay, excuse me. But like, I feel like do you know how many of them were open?
No, I just have the overall number.
Okay, gotcha. But like, I feel like there was more, like, I just felt like their process was just bad. And at the end of the day, it wasn't what we've seen. This was the offense we saw in the early part of the Atlanta series. Like, this was not a very, and you can win this way. They almost pulled this game out.
Yep.
But it really wasn't the Knicks that we've seen in the 13-game win streak. And I think, to me, that's kind of the the big thing that I think, like, they got to get back to. They got to get back to the ball moving, it's the blender, having Wemby run around all over the place. Even when they did on the one possession in the second half, and Wemby got a monster block on Shamet. Shamet misses OG wide open for the above the break 3.
Yep.
Like, it is as clean as it gets. He first off, if you're a guard and you think you have a step on Wemby, you probably don't.
Yeah.
It's unless you're doing one of the, and they've done a good job. I thought Jose Alvarado was great in this game. Like, he did a good job, like, pulling up quickly in the lane for a floater or for a jumper before Wemby could, like, Wemby's trying to meet him at the rim, and he's like, no, I'm shooting from here.
He's been really good in the series in general. Like, the Alvarado minutes have been huge for the Knicks.
So I think, like, for me, like, it was just like when Shamet did that, I was like, oh, come on, man. You had a great possession. You had the Spurs scrambling. You had OG sitting right there. And I think that's a big one for me with what they're doing. But I just,
he also tried to just, like, scoop it into the rim as opposed to trying to use the rim as, like, another defender. And they mentioned, I think Legler mentioned that on the broadcast. You can't just, like, try to scoop it because Wemby's going to get it from behind. But if you use the rim to protect yourself, you can get it up off the backboard before he gets there.
Yeah, and that's really the gist of it. And like, I think but there was that kind of stuff from the game. In the second quarter, when they go on the run, and they were great in the second quarter, it starts with Brunson on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just totally see the ball fly all over the court after that. Like, and then when he comes back in the game, he continues that. For a good, that's why they went up big in the second. I mean, not big.
They went up by 7.
Went 7, which felt like a lot, though, because it was like the way the Spurs were up, I think 10 at one point in the second quarter. Yeah. They go on an 8-0 run. Spurs call a timeout. Then the Spurs go on a main run. Then it's like back and forth for a while. And then towards the last 3 minutes of the quarter, they stole it. They stole the half with a flurry.
10-2 run over the final 2 minutes, if I'm remembering.
Like, I equate it to, like, boxing, when you can steal a round, when a fighter can steal a round with a flurry. That's basically, they stole the first half with that, and that was impressive. And I was like, oh wow, okay, now they're back to their rhythm and flow. But then after that, it all just kind of slowly kind of delved back into, all right, I
didn't think it happened slowly. I thought it happened very quickly in the second half, where they turned it over on the first 2 possessions again. Then they had the flagrant on Brunson to cut into the lead, and all of a sudden, a 7-point lead was won like less than a minute into the half.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but it's like, but I just think that the offense then immediately just becomes very stagnant. And again, Mike Brown said it. We watched one guy dribble. We were content watching one guy dribble, and then when he kicked it to us, we didn't make quick decisions. Like, I think that was a big part of their failure offensively.
Yeah,
with what they did. Give the Spurs credit, though. Like, they were solid defensively.
Oh yeah, better than solid. Like, especially, like, I thought the guards in particular were just all up in Brunson the entire game. Even when Bridges came back in the game, he wasn't going anywhere, doing anything with the ball. The only guy doing anything was OG.
Yeah.
And he was doing it in a very, like, extremely contested way. He was just making shots.
Right. And I think that was it was a big OG game. OG's been great on both ends, by the way. I'm going to do my X's and Mo's for the X show is going to be OG. two-way hero, but like I think it's frustrating because I feel like they lost who they were in this game.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's
mean,
to me.
just a quick stat. They went from this is from Dean Oliver, who's like one of the analytics godfathers in basketball. They
Mhm.
went from 40 potential assists in game 2 to 29 in game 3, and they only had 18 assists on 40 baskets. That's
Yeah.
not the team that we've been watching for 13 games.
Yeah, none of that, the flex cut and then the slip off the flex cut or any of those things. They didn't have the blender going. They didn't have a lot of stuff. It was Cat kind of disappeared, but also like Cat wasn't aggressively looking
Yeah,
for his opportunities. Like I felt like that was part of it too, was like Cat was a bit quiet.
that start of the fourth quarter when the Knicks left the lineup out there with Alvarado, McBride, Shamit, I think it was OG and Towns, when they did fairly well at the end of the third, but they left it out there to start the fourth. Towns like doesn't even touch the ball during that
Yeah.
stretch, and they go scoreless for 3 minutes.
The funny thing for me with Cat was like in the first half, every time he scored, he was talking shit to whoever was guarding him.
But you know
Right.
what? He only had one basket with Wemby on the court for the entire game. His other 3 baskets came in like a 6-minute stretch with Cornette on the court.
And I think because like when Cornette's on the court, he needs to eat. Like that needs to the Knicks rotation should also be like, we'll take Cat out a little bit earlier before Wemby goes out. And then when Wemby goes out and Cornette comes in, Cat needs to come in because Cornette cannot hold him at all.
No.
And I think that's kind of a big opportunity for them to kind of get and especially if assume he struggles today in game 4, that's a good way to get him going. That should be part of our stuff for what they should do for game 4.
The only issue with taking Towns out before Wemby is you can't really do that. Wemby comes out like 5 or 6 minutes into the game to take his first rest, where you can take Towns out 3 minutes in. Like you can't really do that.
Yeah, it's hard. You're right. But yeah, they figure it out, Mike. That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Mitchell Robinson's probably got to play more than 7 minutes and be playable. Like you can't just be out there and not get any offensive rebounds and let Wemby get behind you. And like Nate Duncan, I think, had the stat the Knicks went like 3 for 15 or 3 for 16 with Robinson on the floor, and 2 of those makes were Robinson on offensive rebounds. Their offense was not good with him out there, and their defense was not good.
They struggled. I mean, it was just all in all, it was just like a bad game for them. And I think, when I kind of look at the way they're set up, like I felt like they didn't come in. And again, weird fucking environment. I'll say this, and I'm going to say this about the Knicks fans, and it's not actually the Knicks fans' faults. They priced out the regular fans, and I'm going to just be honest, it was weird to me. I thought the Knicks fans that went to San Antonio were way louder than the ones that were at the arena. Now, the arena got loud from time to time, but it wasn't as loud as I thought it would be. And again, I think it's more they priced out the fans.
Priced out everybody. Who can drop 10 G's for a ticket in the top bowl?
And if you drop 10 G's for a ticket, don't leave when it's a 5-point game with 12 seconds left. I have a video on X with that. Like, I was astonished. And then OG hits the 3. And then it's like, by the way, that inbounds play, the get-in play, was almost a disaster. For the Spurs.
Great pass by Hart.
Oh, to OG for the 3. It was a great freaking setup. And he drills it. It was perfect. And then the get-in play, like, Mitch, please find a new get-in play. Because, like, Fox nearly is catching it and nearly flies into the backcourt, barely gets the pass to Castle, past Brunson. And then, he goes to the field. And I was almost positive Castle was going to miss 1 or 2. The Spurs free throw shooting has not been good in this series.
No,
like really all playoffs.
I was really surprised that Fox even passed it back to Castle. I would have thought that you want Fox to go to the line in that spot rather than Castle. Castle didn't even come close to missing either of those 2 free throws. Just drilled them.
But if he doesn't pass it, I honestly think he either goes out of bounds or flies into the backcourt, and it's a backcourt violation. Like it honestly felt like there was going to be some sort of disaster if he didn't give that up. But yeah, credit to Spurs. Big win. They've been getting their ass kicked. Wemby coming back after that atrocious game 2, final minute. He was good in the second half of game 2, except that final minute. And I think it's a very interesting moment. We're going to take a quick break. I want to know what you think the Knicks need to do for game 4. Then we're going to do predictions. And then we're getting out of here because game 4 is tonight, folks. All right, we're back. Jared, what do the Knicks need to do differently in game 4 besides like the obvious that we've touched on? Move the ball more. Don't let the team get in the bonus with fucking 10 minutes left to go in a quarter. What else do they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all about defending the paint. Like, you can't let them get in the restricted area as often as you do, especially early on. Like, they've gone down big early in all 3 games. You can't continually, like, they are extremely mentally tough and have shown that in every single game where they can fight back from these double-digit deficits in every game. You can't keep doing that and win. It's not sustainable, even if you've been doing it so far. Like, you got to take a lead in one of these games and not have to fight all the way back just to claw into position to be able to win. Like, you can't go down by 10 early in the game again. You got to stop Wemby from getting in the paint early in the game. You got to stop Castle from getting in the paint early in the game. That to me is priority number 1.
I think that's such an important battleground in this series on both ends. Like, that's really the game, because it's also for the Spurs giving up offensive rebounds, right? Like, that leads to points in the paints for the Knicks or kickouts to threes. And I think it's going to be very critical that whole area is kind of is like the first battle line, is the first front of this game, and I think the next one for me is going to be the corner threes and how well do they shoot off of that, and how open are they? I wish I did a little more homework and looked it up more before we started, but I think that's going to be an important one. And then just don't be sloppy with the ball. The turnovers, man, you cannot just throw this ball away in that sense. Like, this is a huge one. And for me, where it's just like, it was a level of sloppiness. It wasn't just like, oh, the Spurs defense was all over him. He had nowhere to go. He had to throw it and shitty break, bad turnover. But it was like sloppy turnovers. The one Clarkson had in the second half after getting a Spurs turnover and just throwing it basically directly to Castle for a layup. Like, it's those are the things that it's like, come on, you guys got to be tighter with this. You got to be
tougher. One, right? The Castle play?
I think it was an and one. Yes, because Cat overreacted and came running over to try to get the block.
They had cut the lead to 2 and it pushed it back to 5.
Yeah. Yeah, it was exactly that. It was, thank you for reminding me that it was an and one, because it was another, because like those are the fouls I kind of want Cat to stay away from. Like, trying to make
offensive fouls. Like, the offensive foul, those fouls, the offensive fouls, and any fouls when Cornet is on the court.
Yes. Any fouls when Cornet's on the court. Because there were moments, and I want to go back because I want to highlight it. Bridges, even though he had a great play in transition to break up a pass where Fox was looking for Keldon Johnson on a play.
Talk about Keldon Johnson, by the way. He did a great job on Towns. I thought
he finally showed up. He finally arrived at the series. Like, that's the way I kind of looked at it. He had good moments.
I guess we should talk about that too, because the Spurs switched their matchups, and that might have thrown the Knicks offense off for a part of this game. Like, they finally just had him like, we're just going to guard Josh Hart from the jump. And Josh Hart went 4 of 7 from 3, and the Knicks didn't win the game.
It was like early, and then it's one of those things. The thing that matters to me when it's like, okay, it's great. Josh Hart went 4 of 7 from 3. That's awesome. But it was like 3 of them were early, if I remember correctly. And then it's like none of them afterwards. It's kind of important in that regard. But yeah, the Spurs definitely were just like, fuck it. We're going to stop messing around with this. But that also means like the other guys have to do a good job on Cat. Right. So that, and I think we'll see if they stay in that matchup. I actually think we'll see Cat get a little more post touches or elbow touches and go to work from there.
You have to, like, yeah. Like if they're going to guard Towns with a small, he's got to touch the ball more. He's got to offensive rebound more in particular. Like the Knicks did well off of second chance opportunities. They had 21 points on second chances. The Spurs only had 10, but that was negated by the 21 points off turnovers for the Spurs, and the Knicks only had 7.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting, like the way that can kind of figure itself out. Like, I just think they need to get back to just being the Knicks of the 13 game win streak. The feel good Knicks, not the outside Madison Square Garden brawling Knicks. They need to be
like, let's not hit people outside the arena. Like, come on.
Ever. What are we doing? It was so fun to watch parties for 13 games. And then this, like, I'll give you a little story. Like and again, like some of it is with everything blocked off. It's like funneling trouble and creating more trouble because it's like allowed to all be funneled into the same place. I'm walking back from the game to my hotel, and it's like literally as I'm walking, I look up and I see a barrage of Knicks fans sprinting towards Madison Square Garden. And I'm just like, well, the game's over, right? So like there's nothing but troubles coming. I had to jump and like stand in the a store like doorway that was closed to let this whole crowd, like I had to wait like a good minute. And I remember just thinking, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen like in you know the movies where like you just got to duck out of the crowd, like they're going to run some people over and stuff. I got to be honest, the police weren't very helpful. It felt like they were very. I don't need to go into this. This isn't.
I did hear a story of there was a crowd of Knicks fans and some police officer got on like the PA and said Spurs in 6, which sucks.
You don't need to be doing that. The other thing I will tell you this had me dying. I was walking with Zach Harper before we split. We're staying at different places, and like a fan was there and was like cursing or whatever and was upset and this and that, and then he ended it with like, and fuck Trae Young. And we just fell out laughing. I go like, that's great.
Somebody asked Wemby about like being a villain, and he said, "I'm not on Trae Young's level."
He's not, but he
hasn't like trolled the fans by bowing at center court yet. Like, yeah. So obviously,
but he's gonna get the treatment tonight. Like this.
He's absolutely gonna get the full treatment tonight.
Yeah. So like, and that'll be fun. Like, I'm excited to see that. I think, you know,
like the half-hearted "fuck you, Wemby" chants that came on during Game 3, they're going to be full-throated.
Oh, from the get-go too. Like I am expecting this to be a crazy crowd and a more Knicksian crowd.
I saw that the prices dropped from Game 3 to Game 4 by like 60% or something like that.
Yeah, well,
because it's not a closeout opportunity and it's not the first game in 27 years.
Yeah, I expect it to be more regular-ish Knicks fans, at least, still paying an arm and a leg, but like I expect to see more. Just regardless of the result, can we all just be peaceful? I'm trying to just fly out tomorrow and get home. Can we just be peaceful? Like I'm done after this. I'm going to watch the rest of the games from home. Can we just get a little more peacefulness? But let's get back to the game itself for Game 4. What other adjustment do you need to see from the Knicks?
I would like to see not just having Brunson bring the ball up the court every single time. Like Hart and Bridges, and to a lesser extent Anunoby, have to be able to just dribble the ball up the court. Like you can't, like I think that plays into the Brunson pounding the ball for 20 seconds before you try to get a shot late in the clock. If he's not bringing it up against Castle being pressured 70 feet from the basket, it's less likely for that to happen. You're more likely to get them into the blender if you have him coming off away from the ball to get the ball to start with. So I got to see Hart and Bridges bring the ball up on occasion and be able to deal with the pressure if they come at you 50 feet from the basket and be able to get the Knicks into the offense.
And it's interesting because like the Spurs did go to more of a lineup with Fox, Castle, and Harper out there, which then means like Castle and Harper can harass your ball handlers for a while, you know.
And Fox can too.
Yeah. I think the other thing for me with the Knicks is they need to go at Fox more. In the same way
there were multiple times where Brunson had Fox on him and they brought him a screen. And I was sitting there like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know why they want to attack Champagnie more than Fox.
It's funny. I know statistically, I feel like Brunson has done really well against Champagnie, but it's like you have Fox right in front of you. Like you don't need to make this harder than it needs to be. So I think they need to make the effort. And also when they get switches, two of Towns's buckets, or one was a foul, one was a bucket, was with Fox on him when they got switched onto him. Like, you can put him in those situations too. Like, I just think they need to do a little bit more of that hunting and kind of like, don't get locked into hunting. But I think that's something like you can pick on that from, a couple of possessions here and there and keep working from it. Is there anything for you on the Spurs? Or sorry, let me ask you, any more Knicks adjustments you want to make?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anything on the Spurs side you think they should be looking at a little more? I know it's tough when they come off a win, but
yeah, no, I would keep going to more of the double drag stuff that you suggested before game 3 that they went to with some success. Like the 45 action did work a few times, and they got the lob out of it on the like the dribble kick sequence to Fox. They got that very early. I think that was the first basket of the game, like a minute in, and they got the seal from Wemby. But I thought that the double drag stuff worked even better, so I'd like to see more of that. And then I'd like to see some of the off ball screening stuff for Wemby.
Yeah, I feel like the off ball screening stuff for Wemby actually hasn't been working too well for them. They did pick up a foul on Towns when he legitimately was holding Wemby trying to come off the cross screen.
Those guys were wrestling hard late in the game
the whole time. Yeah. And it was, I mean, like, it's when they didn't call it at first, but when it was called, it was like Towns holding both of Wemby's arms, like pinning them. So I felt like that was, but like I think when they run the off ball screens with Wemby, it lets them to get another hit on him. And I think that's going to be more, and the way they're talking, especially Alvarado after game 3, like it sounds like they're going to be looking to touch up Wemby quite a bit in this game.
I think when he does take him, I think he's just got to curl him into the paint more often and try to get a seal, as opposed to coming out to the perimeter where they're like bumping him and he gets the touch 18 feet away at the elbow. Like, curl it in, and then maybe you sneak someone behind him into the corner.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do with the way it's hard to curl in with, like, if you're getting such an aggressive bump from the guard, but that also does open up the slit from the screener, but they have to be ready to make that pass. And I think that's a difficult one. I liked the thing I like that they did in 54 or 45. I call it,
it's the same. It's the
same action, but like, they weren't waiting. They weren't looking for Wemby off of it, which I think is what allowed the guards to get downhill. Because almost every time they ran it, they even ran it without Wemby. It was Cornette. Like, Dylan Harper gets right in the lane. Like, if the guards look to come off of that aggressively, I think that's big. And we didn't talk about him, but Castle was awesome in this game, getting downhill. Like, this game was way more focused Castle than we had seen in the first 2 games or more decisive about, I'm getting downhill, I'm getting to the rim. I'm getting downhill, I'm getting to the rim. Like, it was more decisive in the way he attacked than I felt like the other games. And I think that was a big thing for them. So I want to see that. I don't mind them if they run it more, but like, they can't forget the double drags, because I think the double drags has been the problem for the Knicks defensively, and they don't have a lot of great ways to defend that.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that the problem, like, it's not a great way to defend it, but I think that the best way to do it is try to sneak OG or Bridges under it and see if you can meet them on the opposite side. It's not a good way to defend it, but because they're clearly not scared of Fox, Harper, or Castle shooting from 3. Those guys took, I think, 18 threes combined in game 3, barely made any of them. Obviously, Castle made the biggest one of the game, but they were 3 for 18 combined on threes, and I would say 15 of those were like wide open. The Knicks just don't care about any of those guys shooting threes, so if you can sneak him under the screen and say he wants to pull up from 3, like, at least Wemby's not getting the ball. At least they're not getting in the paint. Yeah,
I'm trying to actually find it, because I actually posted it. I did a long thread yesterday on everything. It was early, and so there's one play. Look it up. You can look it up later. It's at the 5-minute mark in the first quarter. I'm actually going to talk you through it as I play it. So give me a second. They tried exactly that. Brunson switches on the first screen. OG tries to recover underneath, but that just opened up a Vassell 3, right? Like, because Vassell gets to pop out off of that.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
you can't. It's really hard to deal with the roll, the pop, and going under all at the same time. It takes like
that's why
Herculean effort from Brunson and from the guy going under.
Well, it's like the way it is. So, like, Brunson switches on if he's the first screen, and OG's going from underneath the other two. It actually Shamit was coming up to contest from the corner to Vassell, which obviously if they run an empty side, then it becomes more difficult. But he's trying to rotate over, and that means Brunson has to go from the top opposite elbow to get to the corner man. And that's another pain point. Like this, I just think the double drag's a problem, even if they go under or over. Like, I honestly would just say, fuck it, OG, you're going over. We're not switching with Brunson. We're not, you got to stay attached to Vassell. But that's why I also said they should put Brunson in the second screen if they decide to do it that way. Yeah. There's a lot of ways I think they could hit them with that. I think that's going to be interesting. Defensively, I think the Spurs have to just continue to be. It's the offensive rebounds that's the problem.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. They're getting the initial stop, but they're not getting the offensive rebound. Part of that is they've done a good job pulling Wemby out of the paint a little bit, making it more difficult, for them. And then it's a small trying to box out, but it has to be all five guys getting in there. It's got to be I don't anticipate 21 points off of turnovers for the Spurs, but I can see another 21-point second chance points for the Knicks. And I think that's kind of the problem right now for the Spurs.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
All right. Well, before we go, or you have anything else you want to touch on before we?
No, I think that's it for me.
All right, buddy. What's your prediction?
My overall prediction is I think whoever wins tonight wins the series. And I took Knicks in 6 before the series, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say the Knicks win tonight, the Spurs win game 5, and the Knicks win game 6.
I'm going Knicks win tonight. I think it's more likely they get back to who they are than we see the Spurs go, like pull this off. Like I think it's more the Knicks get the win. I do think the Spurs will probably win game 5. I think I think then it's game 6, and I have picked Spurs in 7, but I have no feel for what game 6 is going to look like, and I'm not going to go that far. You know what it's going to look like?
Another shit show, because there's going to be travel Armageddon that night because they're not letting people from New Jersey transit in because of the World Cup game that night.
That's that whole day. I think Arash Markazi had it like there's like a besides potential game 6 World Cup game, there's a Yankee game, there's a Mets game, there's like all sorts of stuff going. Like June 16th, even without game 6, is going to be chaotic. You had a game 6, it's like really another level. So, but that's going to be interesting. That's I'm pretty interested tonight. I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited for the crowd. I'm excited to see how Wemby handles the Trae Young level of villainy. Oh, one more thing. Leave the team buses alone.
What happened with the team buses?
They were like slapping the team bus as it was leaving and things like that. Like, yo, like just don't, please, Knicks fans. Like, I'm actually, apart from game 3s and all the reactions afterwards, I've enjoyed you. I've enjoyed you guys. Like, I actually like both teams. I like both of these teams. I think they're both fascinating. I'm enjoying the Knicks fans. Don't screw it up and be assholes. Like, I get it, it's New York, hey, we're walking here, the whole attitude. But like, come on, guys. Like, please, just you've been great. The watch parties were awesome up until game 3, but like, chill out. Chill out.
The watch parties
I get it.
Are back for tonight, so maybe
chill out
the
at the watch
return.
parties. Please. I did laugh at the Knicks fan who was saging Madison Square Garden.
That was very funny.
That was hilarious. That had me cracking. See, I like it. I like the creativity. I love what you guys are doing. Just don't let the few bad apples. Just don't be bad apples. Just chill. It's that simple. Yeah. With all that. Okay, I think that's enough for today. thank you for listening to the Double Dribble podcast.
See y'all.